Captain Marvel review, a welcome addition to the MCU. In many ways, Captain Marvel is perhaps the most important superhero origin story since Iron Manitoba. In the past, Captain Marvel is a much-needed divergence from the traditional origin story. It also manages, thematically speaking, this version of Carol Leigh's struggling to find her identity. And she remains. Directors Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck were apparently trying to make this movie feel like an action flick from the 90s. While that aesthetic fits this particular story, it feels slightly amateurish compared to the other MCU films. It takes a more. It's clear that Boden and Fleck wanted to focus on creating compelling performances, which is ultimately a welcome trade-off. Boden and Fleck. The movie manages to provide just enough information to understand the motivations of the various alien factions, without sacrificing story and characterization for the sake of world building. At the same time, the most amazing thing about a Captain Marvel is the way it feels like a remix of the traditional Marvel origin. It's an important
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park,